At the turn of the 20th century, textile traditions became deeply intertwined with India's freedom movement. India's first forms of civil disobedience and expressions of dissent in relation to colonialism were closely linked with indigo and khadi, the country's hand-spun and hand-woven cotton fabric. Let's first look at how exploitative practices in indigo production led to one of India's first organized resistances. The country's warm climate was uniquely suitable for growing indigo. Owing to its vast popularity across the world, British landlords and planters in India profited immensely from exporting the brilliant blue dye that this plant produced. A consequence of this prosperous trade was the widespread oppression of indigo farmers throughout the 19th century. To maximize production, the colonizers imposed long working hours, brutal land laws, and high fees and taxes, entrapping farmers in a vicious cycle of debt and forced labor. The grim reality of these working conditions are captured in these images. As you can see, British officers strictly supervised the farmers, making them perform to their maximum capacity. The excessive farming of cash crops like indigo and opium bleached fertile soils of their essential nutrients and prevented them from producing food crops. This contributed significantly to the widespread famines in Bengal, Bihar, and Madras through the late 19th and early 20th centuries. The brutal conditions of farmers led to various resistance movements in India, most prominently the Blue Mutiny, a year-long revolt that took place in Bengal in 1859, and later the Champaran resistance in 1917, which had far-reaching consequences in India's struggle for independence. In Champaran, a district in Bihar, a group of desperate farmers turned to Gandhi for help in improving their oppressive circumstances. Gandhi, then a young lawyer who had recently returned from South Africa, intervened by facilitating a public outcry. The Champaran revolt was accomplished by lawfully dissenting against colonial authorities and educating farmers of their civil rights. This was an initial materialization of Gandhi's revolutionary philosophy of satyagraha, or non-violent resistance, that led to India's eventual freedom in 1947. Let's now turn our attention to khadi, India's hand-spun and hand-woven cotton fabric, which was at the heart of the Swadeshi movement, another key arm in Gandhi's independence philosophy. This movement encouraged the production and consumption of Indian commodities, particularly textiles, and the boycott of British imports. While the movement did garner overwhelming support from Indian people, some women leaders of the independence movement were opposed to using white khadi due to the color's association with notions of widowhood and female purity. Nevertheless, khadi soon transformed from a fabric into a way of life, symbolic of India's self-reliance and economic independence. As a result of the khadi movement, textile production in India, which was typically caste-based, was democratized. All members of society, despite their religion, caste, or gender, started engaging in spinning and weaving. Alongside the fabric, the charkha, or the spinning wheel, became synonymous with the nationalist movement and India's independence. In fact, in 1931, the Indian National Congress officially adopted a flag portraying a charkha, as you can see here. The protests and dissent surrounding indigo production and the khadi movement contributed to the rising consciousness against the colonial regime, compelling the emergence and persistence of a new national identity. The natural blue dye, coarse khadi fabric, and the charkha are enduring symbols of resistance, sovereignty, and Indian patriotism.